I'm gonna shift to the building a little bit, and you guys have hit on some of this already. But I'm gonna have you dive in a little bit deeper. Talk about the opportunity to not only acquire the land and get hagglage involved in the construction. What were some of the, I guess, opportunities in going from 2 sites to 1? What were the benefits of that did you see? And even beyond that, talk a little bit about some of the challenges in the construction of the facility that we're in today.
Well, I think to answer your first question, Patti only had one vision, and we're in it. See, this is what we're doing. And she painted that picture on the page and had, architect draw it up, and there was never any options of what we were going to do. This was her project, and she was going to do it.
Yeah. She rolled up her sleeves along with Ted Hagledge. She was here every day, helping make decisions along the way. But I remember too that you loved for people to get under one roof so communication was more effective. You said, I love people seeing each other face to face, communicating, getting rid of redundancies, the inefficiencies of having 2 staff. You said we got to make this happen and get under one roof.
I think it was still the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And along the way, many times, we would go to dinner and Patti would say, well, I don't know about this, or I'm questioning that. And Dick would be so supportive of Patti and saying, now, you know the right thing to do. Let's just get her. It may cost a little more money, but let's just get it done the right way.
I think one of the benefits that we see today from being under one roof is, yes, the communication, yes, the sense of community, but the relationships. Because today, in a 2-hour window, there are 20 buses from Lakota that drop kids off to this building. Wow. 20. Wow. And some of those have a handful of kids. Some of those are filled to the brim, to the point that our local school administrators started reaching out at the end of summer, just trying to help us track how many kids were coming from their school. Wow. So that we weren't like over flooding the bus and putting too many kids on the bus. So, but that sense of community, where youth wouldn't have the chance to interact or get to know each other or cross paths at all. Yeah. Now this facility has created that hub that those relationships can form. And you talk about that in terms of mental health. You talk about that in terms of consistency for someone's day. It's a huge impact. Yeah. Huge impact. Yeah. So obviously the partnership with Lakota Local Schools has been huge for the organization from the get-go, especially as the idea for moving to one facility came to fruition. So talk a little bit about what that partnership looked like and how the acquisition of the land came about, even ahead of the building.
It really was, the acquisition part was really tough because of the school board and giving away property for the community. And fortunately, Dr. Mantilla really did see this as an extension of the school, not as giving it away. So, and she thought it was, gee, somebody else is going to pay for part of my education process. And so, but the superintendent saw that, but the school board members necessarily didn't see it. The community didn't see it. So Patti went to a lot, you mentioned it, went to all the school board meetings and talked to everybody and lobbied everybody. I think she even walked this neighborhood at one point trying to convince neighbors that it was a good thing. And
yeah, because they were afraid of it. I don't know why.
Well, it was just something new. And I think, there's sometimes there's a stigma with lower income families that don't look and act just like we do. And I think the neighbors didn't know what to expect. They didn't know if they were going to have drug dealers pulling up in the parking lot after school and before school. And I think, they obviously had fears. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, I think you convinced them too that this was going to be a self-sustaining organization, that we weren't going to be a drain on the Lakota budget.
Right.
And to your point about the Lakota board, always their responsibility is to oversee a budget. And you said, no, this is going to be a self-sustaining facility and concept, and we're going to be an extension for you for after-school care. And this is going to be a better school community as a result of us. We're going to build upon what you're trying to accomplish at the school. And you were able to convince them. But yes, it was not easy.
No, yeah, they were really kind of against us at that one meeting that we had.
Yes.
It was pretty thing, and they said, well, you can't do that. And I go, I'm going to do that. Yeah. You can't do that. I go, well, watch me.
Well, and to your point, the school board actually put some parameters in place that we had to be able to have a loan in place prior to getting a lease for the land, et cetera, et cetera. So, to get a loan, Patti had to raise the money, and it was a challenge.
And too, Dick, to build on that, the bank itself wasn't totally bought in either. So there were a couple families that had to guarantee the loan in order for Patti to start to build the facility. And that took a leap of faith too. So, a lot of people, the schools, the families, the contributors, the banks, they were all taking a leap of faith with Patti painting the vision, which she did very well, but had to paint it on an ongoing basis. It wasn't just one and done. She had to keep going back and telling the story about how we were going to get this done. But I think when Mike DeWine gave us $750,000, that was a huge statement and a vote of confidence from a very well-known official. And Patti used that to her advantage.
The term that comes to mind in listening to all of you articulate this is value added. Not only what does this add to the community, what does this add to the neighborhood, what does this add to the impact of the school system in the community. I think it all circles back to that value added proposition of here's what this organization is going to be able to accomplish over and above what exists today. So.
We all live in this community and we want to thrive in this community, and any division that comes about from having, let's say, 2 separate high schools. Well, now you come to the Boys and Girls Club and that division is over.
Yeah, that's very good to think of, yeah.
You
Because the
often
kids
said
like that, yeah. They like that when they had the kids at the other schools come together and they hug and kiss. Oh, I haven't seen you so long. Yeah. Just make them happy.
That's always a fun part of a day is not only when kids come in and look at the program board and see what's going on today, and then come back to the front desk and say, will you call or text mom and dad and tell them not to pick me up until this time because they don't want to miss out on gardening or cooking or a leadership program. But occasionally with that, we also hear kids that will go in, they'll go downstairs, they'll get their snack, they'll kind of interact a little bit and kind of decompress from the day. And then you'll start hearing the question, is so-and-so here? Because they're looking for their friend.
That's so
And if they're out sick or if they're at an extracurricular with school or something's up, that is the connecting piece that really drives the sense of what community is in this building. So the vision's no longer a vision. It's a reality.
It's a reality.
Okay, my last 2 questions. In our first 10 years serving Westchester and Liberty Township, what do you feel this organization's greatest impacts have been? I told you I was going to make you think today.
I don't know. I just think the best thing about it is the connection of the people together. And I'm all about people. And so, and anytime you can be with people and they have such a good time, that's good for me.
I think also Patti, when she was back here a few years ago, filled in for the CEO that we didn't have, and got the senior citizen involved here.
Oh, that's right.
I think that's been, I
Are
don't
they-
know, you can tell
are they
me
still
whether
here?
that's a good program or not.
They are
So,
still here.
so they're still here. So we, because of the conversation, I'll have you talk about how that started. Today, outside of our club programs after school and in the summer, the Boys and Girls Club serves as the hub for the Senior Coalition of Westchester, who had a facility in the community, lost the facility in the community, and then we're kind of seeing dwindling participation. I think they got down to about 35 individuals that were still trying to find a library, a restaurant, somewhere, somebody's house to try to connect and build community and build relationships. Today, there's about 120 members of the Senior Coalition of Westchester that are here 4 mornings a week, playing pickleball and chair volleyball and line dancing and bingo and bunco and book club and arts. And even more importantly than that, because this is now home, they're coming back during club programming to support and engage in intergenerational program. So youth members that maybe don't have a grandparent in their lives are getting to form that relationship. Nancy Williams was telling a story the other day that we were at a community event and we had some of the kids there and some of the Senior Coalition members were there, and one of the youth members came up to her and said, "Hi, Miss Nancy," and she was just so taken aback that the young girl remembered her name, and it just speaks to the relationship. Yeah. So, but talk a little bit about how the Senior Coalition and Boys and Girls Club partnership came about.
You had
It was your idea.
I know it was. I know it was.
Well, I think the
But
one
we just
thing that from day
broke it through,
one,
yeah.
Patti has always said this building is not, this is a community building. We've got all this space, it's not being used half the time. The community needs to use it. And she reached out and tried to, how is it best used for the community? And I think that's how it ended up.
Patti, you always knew the needs of the community, always knew. So many of us were caught up in our everyday lives, working and taking care of other things, and we didn't always have a connection to what was needed in the community. But you always had your thumb on that pulse. And that's how these ideas started. She goes, we have a need, and we need to fulfill that need. And the foundation did a lot of that early on, and then this Boys and Girls Club has become, like you said, it's gone well beyond the youth of the community. And you always knew that there was a need out there that had to be fulfilled.
Yeah. Well, I guess that was just a blessing from God.
Yeah. Well, you were connected. You always had, you were never hesitant to get involved in the community, no matter what was going on. And it was tiresome for all of us friends. We're like, being pulled into this again or that. And but it's all so good now that you reflect on what's been accomplished.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one of the things that's unique about our club is that community engagement, whether it's corporate partners that are coming in and talking about workforce development, whether it's collaborative partners that are helping provide STEM programming or computer science programming, to adult mentors that are just popping in to check on kids, and Senior Coalition members. I think my mentality of this is we're all just boys and girls, right?
Yeah.
We're just boys and girls of all ages.
We get
So
past that.
We can't move.
I'll still call you boys.
Well, you know, the other thing that I reflect on is how Patti had to build trust. Because you don't just want your children to be coming into a facility that you don't have an understanding about what there is to offer here. So you said we have to be safe, we have to be secure, we have to provide comfort. It has to be an environment of inclusiveness. And as she said that, we made that reality through policies, through procedures, through how we treated each other with respect. And then the community started looking at us like, well, yeah, I think we can trust that organization. We weren't known at first. And now you've built that reputation of trust, safety, security, comfort, learning, and it's all here.
And I think to add to that too, just the diversity, you know, our population of club members is very much representative of our community in different languages they speak, different racial, ethnic backgrounds, different developmental disabilities or needs is all represented. And I think not only does that serve us as an organization to put us in a position to be that hub, but it's creating empathy and part of that character and leadership of what Boys and Girls Club do on a national level is reflected in this building. And we create that in not only the programs we facilitate, but the community members that we serve. Yeah. And I think bringing in those perspectives and allowing one another to learn from those around you, I think is a vital component of what we do. So.
And that's preparing our children for the next walk in life. That's what our country is all about. Be prepared for diversity and inclusion and continued learning. Get ready for that next step in your life.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I promise this is the last one. I promise this is the last one.
Okay.
Brian's shaking his head at me. He knows better because he knows my last question.
Okay.
So we've asked a lot of the folks who've provided some testimonial video for us for this same thing. So I'm going to ask each of you to answer this, and it's a two-part question, okay? So if you could describe the impact of the organization in one word, what would that word be and why?
Did you say that again?
If you could describe the impact of the Boys and Girls Club to the community in one word, what would that word be and why?
Go.
There's so many words.
You can see her like wanting to raise her hand.
Can we have two?
Yeah, can we have 2 words? Can we have 5? I just say phenomenal. Because you said impact, and I would say phenomenal impact. Why? Because seeing the children come out of these programs, no matter how many years they have been with the Boys and Girls Club, they're different, they're developed, they're confident, they're excited about life. They have more positive outlook for what they can achieve in their lives. That's a phenomenal impact.
Very good. She wanted to go first, so you guys have to top her, I think.
Well, she took half my words away. Go ahead.
Well,
Are you ready?
not really, but I don't really know where I would go.
I was going to say lifelong was going to be my original word, but she went ahead and explained what that meant. It is something you can't take away from these kids. And it came to me when you sat down today and said you were a member of the Boys and Girls Club. I mean, here's a guy that's proof of the pudding. And we've met several others, I think one impressed me unbelievably was Shaquille O'Neal's mother. Came and talked to us one year, and she was a lady in the boys' club she was the first young girl ever to go to the boys club where she grew up. And, she tells a story about one of the teachers giving her a quarter to be a member. Because her mother didn't give her a quarter, and she had nowhere else to go.
I remember Simone Biles, having Simone Biles here. And it's so funny that a photo of Simone came up on my phone this morning.
Oh, you're kidding.
With my two boys. Is that uncanny that and she had a tremendous impact. Came in and talked to the kids in the afternoon, talked at the dinner that night. And oh my gosh, who wouldn't be inspired by Simone Biles and what she has done in her life after having a Boys and Girls Club influence? It's amazing.
So I think lifelong to me it's not a very sexy word like phenomenal, but it describes what I think the kids get out of this and the community gets out of it.
Yeah, for sure.
By now, I forgot what the
We
question
use
was.
everything now. You don't-
What was
So
the?
let me
I was
flip it
thinking
around.
love. I was thinking love.
Yeah.
So why love?
Because they really do care about each other, and they look out for each other. And yeah, there may be a fight here and there, but
Good.
they come back, and I think it's their love those people for life.
Okay, this is really my last question. So you talked about the one word of what the organization's impact has been on the community that you guys have shared today, and I appreciate your candidness. You've shared really your personal journey with the engagement in the community and getting this organization to be as impactful as we are today. Talk a little bit. You can make this a one-word answer and explain why, or you can just kind of articulate it however you feel best. What has been the impact for each of you personally in your involvement in what I'll call this movement over the last 10 years in the community? How has it impacted you? I'm trying to make Patti cry today.
You're close. You're very close.
That's right. You can go. You can go. I don't know.
I think the sense of pride. I know we're not supposed to be proud people, but I have to say the sense of pride of accomplishing something that is so lasting. I call it Patti's legacy, but it's all of our legacy. It's all that we bought into it, and she was able to pull us in, and for something that we didn't fully understand, what a Boys and Girls Club can accomplish. But now that it has accomplished so much, it's just the sense of pride for being able to do it, for something that we had no idea how we were going to pull it off at the beginning. Now, Patti did. Patti knew how she was going to pull it off, and $750,000 from the state got us all bought in early on. But it's just an amazing journey that she took us through, because I'm not sure we all believed it could be pulled together like she did, pulled it together.
Thank you, Karen. I don't know how I did it either. If I had to do it over again, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But it was wonderful people. It's the people. It's the people care here. And they're, once, they realize that children need it, it just becomes a family. And they're always welcome. What's that song?
Oh, I'm sure there's a song. You and I used to play that game. Name that tune.
There has to be. There has to be, because.
Yeah, such a good cause.
All right. You're the best. Okay, we're a good team. Oh, you're two.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. He's
How did it affect me? I'm almost broke.
There's a comedian in every crowd.
I was just a tag along, yeah, but it's been really fun to see my wife develop and do things that she herself didn't even know she was capable of doing.
Yeah.
And having to, living by the phrase on the wall, take the leap, build your wings on the way down. And I watched her do it, and she was amazing.
That's my quote.
It's a good quote.
It is. It is a good quote.
Well, thank you guys. Tremendous conversation, tremendous. And I think the one thing, and I use this phrase occasionally in interacting with folks in the community, and now I know why I use it. It's because the values that you guys have instilled in the foundation of the organization have made it part of who we are today. And it's just making sure that our team, the folks we engage with in the community, the folks that we partner with to serve our community, they all have one thing in common, and it's a passion for people. And if that's at the foundation, then I am excited to see what the next 10 years are going to look like. So thank you guys very much
Thank you.
for
Thank
all
you.
that you have done and continue to do.